If you are wanting to start a no-code or AI automation agency, or to do it as a freelancer or consultant, you've probably asked yourself, what are the skills I actually need to have? What are the fundamental skills I need to start delivering on these projects? And that's what I'm going to talk about today. I'm talking from my own experience because I have been in the space for several years, worked with 100 plus businesses at this point, and I'm a top rated freelancer on Upwork, for example, in this exact space. No-code automation, marketing automation, setting up systems. The first thing is you do need the technical skills with these no-code automation tools. For example, I would still, in this day and age of 2024, recommend going to learn Zapier.com and Make.com. And the reason is they're just the two most popular ones at the moment. They're really pushing hard with their marketing. They're very popular. They've been around for a long time. And these are the tools that a lot of clients have mostly heard about. Zapier.com, if you search for Zapier University, they have a curriculum of some sort. Essentially, it walks you through step by step most of the features of the tool. And I've been through this and it was very beneficial. Even having a background in software engineering, I still found their walkthrough very helpful because it explained some of their features that exist in coding, but I didn't quite know how to do them in Zapier. And it's actually a lot more powerful than I realized after I went through that course. So I definitely recommend going through the Zapier University. You don't have to become a certified Zapier expert. That's what I've done. I think they've also closed that periodically. But if you go through the curriculum, which I don't think you need to be part of the official program to do, you're going to learn the fundamental skills of how you actually work with the tool and how do you get different apps to talk to each other. Obviously, being the one who does the implementation as well, that's another discussion, which I've said in other videos, I don't necessarily agree with if you want to make it a scalable business. But it never hurts to have the fundamental skills of how do you actually work with Zapier.com. And same thing applies for Make.com. They also have a curriculum that you can work through that teaches a lot of the fundamental uses. And again, I would also highly suggest this. I've done the certifications and stuff like that, but it really helped me understand how do I do some of the same things I know how to do in Zapier.com and in coding, but do them in Make.com and Zapier.com, obviously. So I definitely recommend going through those because each platform has its own nuances and their own ways to do things. Make.com I found was actually a bit more of a learning curve than Zapier is. So I definitely recommend that you do work with these very popular no-code automation tools because these are going to be the basis of the systems that you're setting up. Even if you are eventually selling more of a productized service and a delivery and a system, you're still going to be using these tools in the background more than likely to tie everything together. So definitely recommend you do get skilled up on these no-code automation tools, Zapier and Make.com. The second thing, I do recommend you learn to do a bit of coding, Python and or JavaScript. Both helps. If I had to say just one, I would say learn Python because that is what most tutorials you're going to find are in, is Python. You're going to find Python has support in Zapier.com. You can add little code blocks. So I highly recommend Python. It's very friendly. I would say beginner friendly. And I've always worked with that one. I really like it. And the reason I recommend you do learn a little bit of fundamental coding is because ultimately it's going to teach you how to actually work with APIs and how you actually interact with data. Because Make.com, Zapier.com, all these automation tools, they're hiding all of that. They're making that side of connecting apps together very user friendly. And when you learn to actually work with APIs and how to actually work with data directly, you're going to find more efficient ways in a lot of cases to set up automations than doing it with Zapier.com or Make.com. Especially if you're building big systems where the costs can run up quite quickly, you can often do it more easily and cheaper if you know how to do a bit of coding. So I definitely recommend you go through a bit of coding, either in Python or JavaScript. Again, I recommend Python because it's going to teach you fundamentally how do you actually work with APIs and data. And it also starts to make you think in a bit of a different way when it comes to designing systems. And you'll see some of these bigger AI automation channels have spoken about this as well. They've ended up building their own tools and things like that, their own products that people can pay a subscription for to get access to. And fundamentally, all they're really doing is directly interacting with the APIs of like ChatGPT, for example. So they're just doing direct API access, and that gives them a bit more flexibility, and they can build their own tools from that. So definitely recommend you do a bit of the fundamental learning of these tools. And the third thing, and again, these are just focusing on the fundamental technical skills, I would recommend, again, you look at some of these actual AI tools. So obviously you have ChatGPT, for example, you have Claude AI, and you have a new one that I've been looking at called Twins, which is pretty cool, twin.so. And it's almost like browser emulation. And the reason I recommend you do look at these actual tools is because you need to understand what can I do with these tools? There's going to be new AI tools popping up all the time, but the most popular ones obviously are ChatGPT, Claude AI. And if you learn to see what these are capable of, then firstly you can understand how they can fit into the brand, the bigger picture of a Zapier.com or Make.com automation. But the second step I mentioned to you is learning how to work with APIs. And these both have APIs. That is how you can do cooler and more complex and bigger projects. So it all ties together of, firstly, working with no-code automation tools, Zapier.com, Make.com, because you learn the fundamentals of how you get apps to talk together, how you create workflows, things like that. And then step two, you can see you're getting a little bit more advanced. You're actually learning a bit of code, how apps actually talk together, how data is actually moved around on the internet, how it's manipulated to obviously achieve your goals. And then third is now we're tying it together to actual AI tools, in that we're learning how to work with the most popular ones, ChatGPT, which is actually OpenAI, and then Claude AI, which is Anthropic, I believe. And a lot of the time in these bigger complex projects that you might be involved with, you're going to be working with the APIs of those tools. So that's why I recommend you learn a bit of coding as well, because ultimately, if you're going to build some cool custom product, you're going to end up working direct with APIs. So these are the fundamental 3 things I would recommend you need to focus on if you actually want to be technically sound to be able to work on these AI automation projects. And to give you one more bonus fundamental skill, I would say it's not even the technical skills. I definitely recommend get a base knowledge in these technical skills. Like I said, go through the no-code automation universities, their curriculums, then learn a bit of coding, and then learn about the AI tools. But as I've said in other videos, I don't believe you should get lost in the implementation. You can do the implementation for a bit yourself, the actual building of these things, but ideally you are bringing people in who want to do the building for you, and you're focusing on growing the business as an agency or as a consulting offer. And that's why I would recommend the bonus skill. It's not even the technical skills, it's the business skills. It's fundamentally understanding, how does a business work? The businesses that you're working with, what are they interested in? It's making money. So it's understanding how are your automation solutions that you're setting up for people fitting into the grand scheme of things. And then also that leads into, you are going to run your sales calls a lot better. So the fundamental skill for growing this as a business, it's not even the technical skills. It's actually learning how this fits into business, how to sell this. And then you obviously learn how to properly run these projects. I hope you found that helpful. I'm just trying to share my knowledge and my experience as I've gone through this industry for a couple of years. And as I say, worked with 100 plus businesses, top rated on Upwork as a freelancer in this space. So I'm just sharing my experience and what I wish I had known from the start.